Hey guys, Nick Ogilvy, and today we're going to talk about weeds and artificial turf, a little bit about that, and about root systems of trees around the artificial turf. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about weeds, weed growth, artificial turf, and tree roots. So first, I want to start with the weeds. So when we go in and we take up a lawn, we're taking out 4 to 5 inches of soil, taking it out, disposing of everything, and then sometimes, just depends on what client, we'll put a weed fabric down, right? I don't like to put a geotextile fabric down because I believe it inhibits some drainage. So I really like to not put a weed fabric down. And then you put your 3 inches of base rock, and then your last inch to 2 inches of fines. And so you use that bigger drain rock. It's going to allow the urine, moisture, and everything to pass through the soil, especially if you have pets and stuff like that. So that's what I usually do. And then, you know, sometimes if the customer wants and weeds are a big issue, we can always take some rock salt and put it in a drop spreader or pool salt, whatever, and coat the ground. Now, I will say this could sterilize the lawn, could affect other plants around, and so on and so on. So I typically don't recommend it. The one thing I do recommend is you could, and we do this sometimes too, is scrape the yard, spray weed killer on it weed and grass killer on it, like a ground clear before we put down the artificial turf. So then you put your base material, your turf, your infill, and you're good to go. So that's pretty much on that. The weeds, if you do have weeds grow up through your turf, which it does happen, spray it, let it die, and then pull the weeds. That's right. I know a lot of people want to just go in there, grab it, and pull it out, and that way it's handled. Spray it first, let it die, and then pick it. And you might have the neighbor next to you may have Bermuda, and it's always trying to creep in on your lawn. So you may have to keep it sprayed a few times for a couple months. That way it doesn't encroach onto your artificial turf, and it kind of trains the Bermuda not to grow over there. So, and then there's also, a bio barrier that you can put down on the ground, and that's actually what we're going to talk about for trees here in a second. But you could put that down on the ground. Now, that's super expensive. It's comes out to like $5 a square foot just to put the barrier down. So I've never had anyone do that, and it's been just fine. But you got a lot of people around here have that nut sedge, and if you don't have, so what happens? Nut sedge is really going to be hardy where there's a lot of water standing where it has stood, and that's what's really going to get it. So say if we install artificial turf, and now nut sedge can have a 14-inch root, and it's very difficult to kill. So what happens, sometimes, your house may not have gutters, and all that water is just sitting there. Well, it's sitting there, and it's allowing that nut sedge to grow, and there's not much really you can do about it. The other way, so that's nut sedge, right? So anyways, there's some weeds, some topics on that. And then the other, I always get asked, well, we have trees, and will this affect the trees, and so on, and the artificial turf when we cover it up. And a lot of people, they want to go right up to the trees, which I don't have a problem with. If it's an older established tree, there's not a lot of roots coming up through the old turf. It's fine. I'll do it. If it's a newer tree, what I recommend, if the trunk is 4 inches or smaller, or 6 inches and smaller, do not turf up to it, because what happens is the tree's going to grow and it has nowhere to grow. So I'm going to bring up here on the screen what you should do. And if you put in the artificial turf, you put in any type of concrete, a pool, what else? Pavers, hardscapes. This is what you're going to want to do. So you have your bio barrier, and it comes in a yellow sheet with those little bumps on it are the weed killer and root blocker on that, and it still allows the water to pass through, so that way your vegetation gets all the nutrients and water that it needs, but it keeps the trees from encroaching, the tree roots encroaching on the turf. So I found this out probably when I knew they were using this a long time ago when I was golfing, and they use it all around the bunkers and the golf greens, because they do not want the tree roots to affect the golf greens. And so they basically surround a whole golf green that had trees around it with this bio barrier. And so it's really effective. It lasts for around 15 years, but after the tree is that established, the roots have already been taught how to go. And so that's what you can do around the trees, is put this bio barrier. And then I have it on here where we have, the bigger base coarse rock, and then the fines, and then the Lux Blades artificial turf, and the geotextile fabric I put as optional. Now, what's cool about adding the geotextile fabric, it's actually like adding 5 inches more of base rock. It just helps stabilize it a lot more. And it's really good. I mean, like in Texas with this clay soil and stuff, it is good to have an extra added layer of security. So this is just a little bit about what we do at Lux Blades, what makes us different, why we might be more expensive than your other bids, because you really need to compare apples to apples whenever you go out and get these bids. And are these other artificial turf companies, are they knowledgeable in this area? They may not be. So just always know who you're talking to when doing artificial. Hopefully it's not a chuck in a truck. Hopefully it's a credible artificial turf company that's going to treat you right, do the right things, and know what they're talking about. So if y'all have any questions about tree roots, weeds, anything like that, don't hesitate to comment on this video. And always like, share, subscribe to Turfed Out 4324 on YouTube. Guys, look forward to the comments. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.